Welcome to the Milford School Committee meeting for this Thursday, November 20th, 2014. This meeting is being broadcast. We do have members of the media present. If any member of the public would like a copy of this meeting, please feel free to contact either myself or any other members of the committee. Good evening, everyone. We'll go ahead and get ourselves started here with the first agenda item. I appreciate everyone's flexibility with a small adjustment to our time frame this evening, starting at 6 rather than 7. And we've got an event this evening with some of our folks that have come in from China, which will be great. So we'll get started right off with our first agenda item. Is the approval of minutes. So this is the approval of the minutes from the regular school committee meeting as well as the executive session from November 6th, 2014. And do we have any questions? All members have had an opportunity to review the minutes? Okay. Take a motion from Joe, second from Mike. All in favor? Motion passes. And the next piece would be invitation to speak. Anyone here for invitation to speak? Seeing no one, we'll move on to our next agenda item. Up next, we have announcements and correspondence. Any members have any announcements or correspondence? No? Okay. I do want to just make sure that, I'd be remiss if I didn't address, there was obviously some significant media attention that was brought into Milford yesterday with response to an event that occurred at Stacy Middle School. I do want to make sure that I just take a moment to address that. I think that there's been a lot of conversation around about the situation in general as well as the way it was handled. And I want to make sure that we talk about the fact of this school system and the way that we want to make sure that we're continuing to provide a level head in the way that issues are being addressed and that we're taking into consideration good judgment, adding common sense as well, and that we're not overreacting when there are those instances that do come up, and that we're treating each individual case on a case-by-case basis, and that communication continues to remain strong, and that suspending a 10-year-old boy, if there's a severe situation that warrants attention, that we're continuing to focus on resolving situations, and that we're providing remedy, and that we're continuing to help address the situation. Rather than punish, let's make sure we're helping and solving a problem. That being said, I want to make sure that we're continuing to move forward here, and that we're doing everything that we can continue to do as a school committee and as a school community to provide support for parents, as well as for students and for teachers and administrators in making good decisions. Bob, I know that you and I had spoken earlier today. I know you've been already busy at work in taking some time in trying to address and trying to already make some changes. I'm going to ask that the policy subcommittee, I don't know whether this would come up under future agenda items, but we'll bring it up here, that the policy subcommittee do look at all zero tolerance policies and ensure that we are, quite frankly, for lack of a better way of putting it, I really have zero tolerance for zero tolerance policies. We've got to make sure that we're giving latitude for good communication, as well as additional oversight and then we're not treating situations as black and white when we know that so many things are shades of gray. So I would just ask the policy subcommittee take a look at all of our zero tolerance policies so we can review those and come back with some recommendations on make sure that they're worded appropriately so that way we're giving that latitude, as well as the additional oversight and additional steps are being taken for oversight so that we don't leave a parent in a situation where they feel that their only ability to respond is to run to the media. Bob, I know you've been busy at work over the last day or so here and already being proactive and trying to make some changes here. I'll ask that you just speak very briefly to some of the things just for the benefit of the viewing public of some of the steps that you've taken.
Sure. Just to comment on that, there's, of course, there's a lot of media, there's a lot of speculation and comments and blogging and posting, and so to move past all of that to get down to where we want to proceed and move forward from. I think that's the critical takeaway from your comments. Had a very productive meeting with the parent, with the principal, and subsequently with the leadership team. In fact, we had we have an attorney that advises the leadership team on specific matters. As you know, our town council provides guidance on a number of areas. As it gets to more specific language, typically around special education law or laws related to student suspensions. In this case, there's been a number of changes to Chapter 222 of the general laws around student suspension. It's very new. In fact, just July 1st of this year. We had planned a meeting anyway to review suspension practices and what we do as a school district, and this was very timely. It was a good cause for reflection. And what the outcome of the meeting with the parent was again productive. We left that meeting with the need for us to take a common sense evaluation of our existing practices, our handbooks, and I think that's a good idea to look at where we do have zero tolerance language. We should be avoiding that at all costs, and also looking to be sure that our administrators are empowered when there may be times clearly where there's an event that necessitates a consequence for a child. That's going to happen, and when it happens, that you look at a grid and it's simply you try to find the event and then move to the consequence. I think that's where we lose sight of applying the help that a child may need to the equation. So there may still be a need for a consequence, but there's also, in my view, a need for us to look at this on a case-by-case basis and then provide whatever support may be necessary for a child. And in some cases, removing a child from school, as we've come to learn over the years, may be in effect positively reinforcing a negative behavior. The child may, in effect, want to be out of school in the first place. And a consequence of having a child be out of school is not going to serve the child or the district well in that case. So I think, to your point, Mr. Chairman, there is the need for us to look at how we leverage consequences for students and in a common sense approach. So again, being positive about this, being forward thinking about this and forward momentum. We've, again, had a productive meeting with the parent. I'm satisfied that we'll move forward for the district. We'll take a look at the policy handbook language, and we'll be sure that we're not only compliant with Chapter 222, but we'll make sure that we're also using a level sense approach to student discipline in our schools.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's kids that are our end users here. And at the end of the day, this is about children. And we got to make sure that we're able to make good decisions that are going to help move situations forward. When we punish when we need to punish, hold accountable when we need to hold accountable, but at the end of the day, help when we need to help. So, move on to our next agenda item. Thanks, Bob.
Sure.
Next is the Milford School Core Values and Missions. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you for having us. Tonight, we're here to talk with you. This is Kristen Akajanian, and she's an English teacher at the high school, and Kristen is accompanying me tonight because she has been instrumental with her involvement and leadership on the Standard 1 Committee. We are in a NEA self-study, and I think, as everyone knows, this is a lofty charge that all high schools go through, and there are 7 standards, and all of our faculty members are assigned to one of the 7 standards. Before we can carry on with some of the important work that we need to do around all of the standards and indicators that we are accountable for, we needed to embark on a journey of examining our core values, our guiding principles for student learning and student achievement. And Kristen is a co-chair of the Standard 1 Committee. I am the administrative liaison to the Standard 1 Committee. And Kristen and Judy Shea and Ben Liberto, the 3 of them are the chairs of this committee. The other 2 chairs couldn't be with us because Ben has theater. We're in Tech Week this week, and Judy has a class, but very grateful that Kristen could come with me. So in your packet, you do have what we have developed over the last couple of years. There's been a great deal of professional dialogue, a lot of research. We have studied the indicators that have been set forth by the Education Connection, the Partnership for 21st Century Learning, and really delved into what is it that students will need to know and be able to do to be successful and achieve in the 21st century. And as a result of examining the research and talking with our students and talking with our parents and school councils and our faculty, we have developed for you, for your consideration, in the center of the page, the core values for student learning. One of the recommendations from NEASC is that we come up with a way that the core values can be easily remembered by our students, by our faculty, by our parents, and by the community. And one of the ways that has proved to be effective is to use an acronym that can be used to capture these guiding principles. And so after a lot of dialogue about what that acronym should be, what the language should be that captures the essence of our core values for our student learning, we have come up with Milford High School Scarlet Hawks SOAR. And SOAR will be the word that we will use as an acronym to capture our core values. And the core values that we've identified, again, through a lot of research, a lot of surveys, a lot of input from various members of the community, are the S will stand for strength, the O for opportunity, the A for achievement, and the R for respect. This language captures a lot of different meaning in our students' achievement. If you take strength, academic strength, discipline, strength of character, strength to do the right thing, day in and day out, especially when it's hard. So we wanted to use language that we could use to capture our students and their achievement in many different realms, both in and outside of the classroom. So we are putting forth as a recommendation our core values of strength, opportunity, achievement, and respect, and align to that our 21st century learning expectations. That's an additional charge from NEASC, a change as we've evolved. In the past, you would have a mission statement. Now we need to have our core values and 21st century learning expectations defined. We have 6 21st century learning expectations that you have in front of you. They are categorized into the realms of academic, social, and civic. They fall into the categories of technology, communication, collaboration, innovation, adaptability, positive mindsets among our students, personal responsibility, critical thinking, and respect for diversity. So we wanted to come tonight to share this with you, to answer any questions that you may have about our process, about the small revisions to the mission statement that capture the core values and 21st century learning expectations.
Okay. Open it up to the committee. Anyone have any questions? Okay. Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Kara, do you need a vote for
Yeah, I was
NEASC
gonna-
to have on record?
Yes, we do
Mm.
need, we have gone, we've put this out to our students, to the community, through Blackboard Connect, to the school council, and I wanted to ask for your approval of these core values, 21st century learning expectations, and the mission statement.
Excellent. I will open it up for motions. Motion by Dawn, second by Jen. All in favor? Unanimous in favor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys so
Thank
much for
you.
all the hard
Thank you.
work, and thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you.
Thanks. Joe?
Just one question. Do all the schools have to go through a similar exercise?
For accreditation, they'll have to have a mission statement that's approved. So because the high school now is in the process of reaccreditation, they have to have a recent stamp of it. And because there's been changes from the handbook that was approved, the committee needed to render a vote after that. So that's the long answer. The short answer is yes. The long answer is yes, but when that time is up.
Okay.
All right.
They're in different cycles.
Up next, we have the introduction of Paul Blivis, the IT Director for Technology and Department Update. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. Thanks for the invite. I appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much for coming.
Thanks. All right, just by way of introduction, my name is Paul Blivis, by the way, and Director of Technology for the Milford Public Schools in the town of Milford. And just a brief personal background. I'm married with 3 children. We live in the next town over in Holliston, and possibly moving here to Milford. So there's a vested interest there as well in the school systems too. So I started here in mid-June. So I've been here about 5 months now. and with the town side and the school side, so it's keeping me very busy. The IT department consists of myself and Brandon Van Dahl, who we hired at the end of August, so a few months ago, and that is our help desk person who's basically covering the majority of the tickets that we see throughout the district and the town.
Great. Don?
You inherited a mess, right? I mean, it was pretty,
You could
pretty
say
bad.
that.
This is
Don's
Don
very
Copio.
Wait, let me introduce. There you go.
So, 3 years ago, when I came on, I was hearing things about our backup servers being in somebody's basement, right? And then it was about a year ago, I think we got an update that the backups were going to be over at Brookside and everything else like that. And my main concern was, vulnerability, right? Backup, all of those things. I mean, I don't know if you're prepared to just give us kind of a quick overview on where we are today, because I'm telling you, for the last 3 years, we have not felt comfortable about our IT situation here. And we're thrilled to have you on board. We're happy about the direction that we're going. But I'd like to get an idea from you as to, are there issues that you need our support in? What are some of the major things that you're focused on right now?
Yep.
And what kind of a time frame are you looking at?
Okay. Time frame's hard to tell right now. I'm developing a technology plan. I'm about a quarter of the way through it, but I think in order to have that full technology plan, it's going to take some more time to get really kind of the network layout, the assessment done throughout each building. And you're correct in the fact about the backups is a huge priority of mine right now, as well as security, network security, and that sort of thing too. But really, in essence, the foundation of the network needs to kind of be more built up than it is currently, because we had, as soon as I got hired, there was several projects that came on board with access control for all the doors and the phone systems and so forth, and kind of put a little pressure on the network. So we're trying to fix that on the go, but there are some permanent plans set in place to correct those issues. In terms of backing things up, I've seen, as you put it, maybe in somebody's basement. I don't know. That's the first I heard of that. But there are little NAS boxes all over the place. And we're developing. That's actually one of my strengths from a previous company, because at IBM I was with the disaster recovery and virtualization department as well.
Yeah.
So that will definitely be corrected for sure. And in terms of support, I've had excellent support with Mr. Tremblay and Kevin and Kathy too, and Rick as well. Just initiating projects, getting a top 10 list basically, and prioritizing certain things. Because my list was a lot longer than the top 10, but it's just a matter of where we go from here. And I was just with the Finance Committee and Selectmen's Committee as well. And we talked about a lot of these projects. So I would say within the next few weeks, I'll have a better understanding of which ones we're going to kind of hammer out first. And I can provide more of a detailed update for you on the next meeting as well.
Yeah, I know there was a lot of questions too regarding storage space, especially with the security cameras and everything else. When Mike and I were on the Safety and Security Committee, that came up quite often. So, once you have that list,
Yep.
I'm hoping that we can have you back within a few weeks or
Sure.
a month or so to get an update and understand what that priority list looks like.
Yeah, it sounds good too, because I have a vendor actually coming in tomorrow, and we have a technology meeting tomorrow morning as well. But right after them, there's a vendor coming in just to kind of do a network assessment and list each one of these points that I had on my list, and just kind of get a little deeper into them and figure out what we need to make these better. So
Right.
Yeah,
Are
definitely
there
need-
conversations about outsourcing some of this to get some of those things resolved faster, or is this everything, is everything gonna be handled internally and, with your direct staff?
yeah, there's no way it can be handled internally. We definitely have to hire additional people here within to help the structure itself, but also for these projects, it's going to be outsourced. We have WorldBand on contract for a little bit, but we're looking at other vendors too that specialize in certain areas that can get these things done quickly and correctly too.
Okay. And Bob, is the IT staff, IT budget still 60% school, 40 town?
We, no, I don't know if Kathy, if you want to comment on that. We have our budget, we have, this position now is funded through, so there was a shift from the town to try to have this technology
Right.
department.
Right.
But in terms of materials and all that, what we have had budgeted in the past, Paul has access to all of those accounts, so he's able to maintain the school system, technology needs through those budgets. But as far as the sharing, we don't have any portion that way, Kathy, right? We don't have it.
No, the only funds that we kept were a small amount of money, for contractual, help for Paul to get projects done. And if needed, if, kind of as a safeguard, if in fact the school felt that we needed a little bit more tech help, we would have a little fund that we could go to.
So the, go ahead, sorry.
Hi, Paul, Jim
Hey,
Parson.
Jennifer.
In terms of the help person that you mentioned, is there one person servicing all the tickets for the town and the schools, or is there a greater help desk than that?
Correct. That's just the one for my department, yeah, handling those. We have,
So-
we have Dan Nelson, he's a full-time teacher, so really, I mean, I don't have any control over him, but he has some students here at the high school
Okay.
that kind of help with certain help desk tickets just at the high school. And we have a technology integration specialist as well, but she's more dedicated to curriculum and that sort of thing and helping teachers with technology. But as far as the true IT department, it's me and Brandon, yeah, so he's doing all the tickets in
So is
essence.
part of the assessment that you're doing right now, looking at the efficiency of that and the ability to get to the tickets and
Correct.
resolve things in a timely manner?
Yeah.
So I imagine at budget time, we'll be able to it's hard to imagine the number of schools here with only one
Yeah.
person managing the town and the schools.
Right.
So, do you have kind of a priority order that you've put into place so far about, regarding the schools? What you see as the most pressing issue right now that you want to tackle? Or is that something you're kind of working on and will report back later?
We're working on it, and obviously any help desk tickets that come in, we try to prioritize the best we can, but I mean, you figure it's only one person that's actually going out and hitting all these anyway, so it's
Yeah.
hard, even if, the internet goes down, then it
Mhm.
consumes them for the day, and then the tickets
Mhm.
back up, so it's a process that we're trying to work through right now, and I think we just discussed it over this past week, that it's apparent that we need more help,
Yeah.
more people, more help,
Yeah.
to take care of those issues.
Yeah, it just seems like that'll be so detrimental to the growth of technology if teachers are struggling
Yeah.
to get a
Yep.
lesson going and something goes down and
Mhm.
one person, I'm sure they never even see them, so.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like the Joe Calorie subject line.
No, yeah.
Mr. Chairman. Paul, welcome.
Thank you, appreciate it.
The question that I have for you is, Don made reference to the Safety and Security
Mhm.
Committee. It seems like every year in those meetings, we end up talking about the famed lobby guards.
Okay.
And I'd like you to please make those a priority, because in our last meeting, Bob, we talked about maybe lobby guards are to the point where they're extinct
Mhm.
and they're not worth putting any money into to try to keep them running. So if you could make a priority to first get them running
Okay.
and check in each school and make sure that they are working properly. And then after that, look at the whole program and being an IT expert, you may come back to us and say, they're old, they're antiquated, this is a much better system for the, security, gaining access to the schools. So if you could please do that, because every time we get together and we have a roundtable discussion, we think everything is okay, and the next thing you know, we have an administrator in a building saying, well, my lobby guard's been down for a week,
Mhm.
or so-and-so couldn't get the card to work. Well, how long has that been going on? Well, it's been like that for a month now, so if you could please make that a priority and let us know,
Certainly,
that
yeah.
would be great. Thank you very much.
Just to comment on that, Paul is on that.
Okay.
I read the minutes too from the last meeting, and we just discussed this today with the leadership team about lobby guard, a good discussion about that, and we're gonna get a presentation, we haven't had a chance to discuss this, you and I yet, but without foreshadowing for tomorrow morning, we wanna get a representative from lobby guard to come out and talk to us about where has this technology moved in the last 6 or 7 years, and how can that, can we take our existing kiosks perhaps and trade that in for something that's more streamlined, that does a better, more effective job to manage it. What's happened over the years, recently with the visitation policy has changed who has access to our buildings. And what came to light today was, mostly it's vendors that are the ones that are unaccompanied coming in. So we have a number of discussions that started with principals. We'll continue. It's on the agenda for the safety security meeting.
Okay.
that's coming up, and it's on our agenda for Paul and I to discuss tomorrow. So we are on that.
And just one other thing, and I know
Certainly.
Donnie made reference to it, but I call it a roadmap. When you put your plan together of your priorities and where you're going, when you get that done, not that any of us wanna micromanage what you're doing, if we could just have a copy of it.
Yeah.
So that, you know, we can speak to it.
Definitely makes sense, yeah. I put many roadmaps together, so sure.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Yep.
Thank you.
So I want to welcome you as well to the team.
Thank you.
The technology infrastructure specifically is critical to the future success of the schools and our students. And that's a priority for us. And as you can tell, we're all pretty eager to get that fixed. And that's obviously going to involve resources. So we want to make sure that you have the proper resources that you need. But can you just kind of step back and give us an overview of what this new IT department looks like and how you're supporting the schools versus the town and how you get funding from both perspectives?
Okay, sure, yeah, I mean, just, the way it is currently, obviously, as I mentioned, it's just me and Brandon, and we have funding from both sides, so I have kind of you could say per se, a bucket of cash allocated for certain projects at the town hall, as well as some here at the school. And it's still, I'm figuring out the one at the school currently, just because we have a lot of yearly subscriptions that are coming out of that budget as well, that I'm still trying to make sure I have all of those before I realize what monies that I have available to me. And going from there, just again prioritizing those projects that really need to be assessed. And I think the town hall we focus on early, and now the focus is totally shifted over to the school systems now. As the town hall is very stable. We're still trying to bring in different buildings within the town hall, but I think right now it's just primarily 100% is focusing on the schools, and figuring out a plan to upgrade all the technology within each of the buildings.
Okay. And then obviously, as they mentioned, the sooner we get
Yeah.
that analysis, the better, because we're going to be going into budget season pretty soon, and we want to make sure that we're able to allocate the proper funding and resources. So.
Exactly, and our team has made me aware of the upcoming budget and the meetings, and we got some scheduled already for that, so that'll be great.
Great.
Can I ask one more, are we on a time?
That's okay. We got about 2 minutes left. Don, you had your hand up first, and then
that's
I'll
I
go to
was
Jen.
just gonna ask one question.
Yep.
Are you responsible for the police department too?
Currently, that's not under my domain, as they have their own IT guy and the fire department as well. But I think ultimately that would probably be the goal, is to have that, but we can't support it yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the infrastructure is not really there to bring on a whole 24/7 police and fire at this point. But I think that would be the ultimate goal, is to have one director and team, overseeing everything. Yep.
Jen?
I was just thinking for the future, as you get more into the schools, it would be helpful to understand how the decisions are made. When we bring in new equipment for schools, how are we deciding? Are they Chromebooks? Are they iPads? And what kind of involvement is there from the schools? Is it just you making those decisions? Are the teachers and the principals part of a committee that's, collectively making those decisions? And software, just would be nice to know how that vision is
Yep.
being put together, so we can have an understanding of how the learning is progressing.
Certainly, I think early on, Bob and myself, Kevin and Kathy have been kind of collectively in that committee currently. But I think going forward too, once we build the IT team, we can develop maybe even a little subcommittee. But certainly, it's not just me.
Right.
But we're going to poll some teachers and principals and that sort of thing, and get them actively involved in that too.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Paul, I just have 2 quick questions for you. One,
Sure.
I did get some conversations. There were some issues with the phones still up at Town Hall. I know there's been some ongoing phone issues as well. Is that something that you're supporting?
The town hall has an outside resource called Total Communications that I think they handle primarily most everything as far as maintenance and support, and they have a VPN into the network so they can make changes and that sort of thing. So
Okay, all
That's
right, so
good
that's, I'll save that for another time.
Yep.
And then, obviously, you got a lot of conversation and a lot of questions from the committee as well, just with regards to, part of that assessment that you've been working on. I know you started back in June. Do you have a timeline for when you expect that you'll have that priority list, and you'll have what those projects are?
let's say, I know we got a lot of meetings coming up regarding budget and so forth. I'd say probably by the end of January. Is that acceptable, or do you need it sooner than that? Reason I'm saying is because I have a technology plan that I'm putting into place or developing currently, along with a list and some vendors coming in, but I can certainly make adjustments.
Yeah, I guess my My question on it would be this, is that I realize, and to some of the points were made earlier, it's a Herculean effort that you're going through to try and unwind this web of where we are from a technology perspective and really get your arms wrapped around it, and certainly appreciate you coming on board and taking on that task as your new role here. That being said, personally, I wouldn't put necessarily a timetable to it. What I'm asking for from you as the technology expert, I'm not gonna pretend that I am one, because I'm not. The sooner the better, as you
Okay.
heard from many of the other members tonight.
Yeah.
As fast as you can, making sure that you don't sacrifice quality for speed. But the sooner we have it, one of the things that you'll learn very quickly about us here in Milford is, we do really well when we can plan.
Yeah.
Fire drills we don't do real well with. It makes us a little nervous.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that when we ultimately respond and handle it well, it will gain a lot of credibility and we're able to add a lot more support, the better we're able to plan for it.
Yep.
So the faster you can get it to us without sacrificing on the quality, the better. The end of January is a little late.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think, and to that point too, I think the thing that would really help expedite those, and we did talk about that just the other day within the other committees, is just bringing 1-2 people on board, and helping even Brandon knows networking and everything else, so he could be, if we can get 2 other people just doing the help desk tickets, that would allow us to focus on these projects and really plan these things out and put some time and money associated with each. But obviously, things are the way they are currently, but that would be a huge help.
Yeah, agreed. So, yeah, as you get that timeline out, I think that would be great, that priority list out.
Right.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good
Thanks,
evening.
Paul.
Thank you.
Thanks
a
for
lot.
coming.
Welcome again.
Thanks.
Thanks, Paul. See you in the morning.
All right.
All right, up next, we have the
Thanks,
report of
man.
the Assistant Superintendent for Business and Human Resources.
Yes, for the committee's approval this evening, I have 6 warrants. The first warrant is in the amount of $26,562.93.
Okay, take a motion from Dawn, second from Mike, all in favor? Motion passes.
The second warrant is in the amount of $252,684.42.
Okay, take a motion from Jen, second from Joe, all in favor? Motion passes.
The third warrant is in the amount of $27,876.75.
Okay, take a motion from Joey, second from Dawn, all in favor? Motion passes.
The fourth warrant is in the amount of $445,655.85.
Okay, take a motion from Mike, second from Joe, all in favor? Motion passes.
What am I at?
You're at
Fifth
5.
warrant, sorry, is in the amount of $18,387.28.
Okay, take a motion from Jen, second from Dawn, all in favor? Motion passes.
And the last warrant is in the amount of $212,636.81.
Take a motion from somebody, a motion from Joe, second from Joey, all in favor? Motion passes.
I do want to just give a quick brief on the governor's 9C cuts. We did get the memo, and I did do a analysis on the line items that Milford would be faced with, and one of which was a $4 million cut to the circuit breaker fund. And based on what they're projecting, if at all, Milford's budget cut from that fund would be approximately $20,000. So that would be the total amount that we could be faced with that the governor is projecting as 9C cuts.
So so our total is not, it's not, our budget that we get currently is $4 million for circuit breaker. The cut will be 20,000.
To Milford. It would be across the state of Massachusetts for the $4 million. So Milford's portion of that could be as much as 20,000, but they're hoping that the extraordinary relief fund for circuit breaker would absorb that. So the most that we would see for a budget cut would be $20,000.
Is that for FY16?
15.
That's for the current year?
Yes,
Yeah.
he's proposed, is it $36 million in proposed cuts
Yeah.
across the state in 15?
Yeah.
And that would be in effect for January.
Okay.
So that, from my analysis, for our local funds, that would be Milford's worst-case scenario.
So, if I may, Kathy, see, correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that the governor's proposing a $36 million cut in all programs across the state of Massachusetts.
Yes.
Out of that 36 million, how many programs within the school budget do you predict will be affected? Just circuit breaker?
Just circuit breaker. From my own analysis of the line items,
Yeah,
a majority of the budget cuts seem to be within the category of the mental health
yeah.
area.
And not that you like any
For
budget
service.
cuts, but if 20,000 is really all that we're gonna be affected by, that's surprising, to be honest with you.
We could absorb that, and we'll
Yeah.
watch that within our out-of-district fund if we had to. But my assumption would be that that extraordinary relief will absorb the full $4 million.
That's good news.
It is good
really.
news.
Well, my concern on that, thank you, Kathy, and when we get into future agenda items, I'm gonna ask that we put on there for understanding what the extraordinary fund is. I'm glad you jumped right on it, thank you. I know this was just an announcement that came out yesterday. You're right, Mike, to the point of it could have been a lot worse. That being said, we're in a position where we're facing substantial increase in costs, as we talked about during our last subcommittee meeting with the finance committee. And rather than receiving additional support, it's another $20,000 that we're gonna have to go back, that we're gonna have to ultimately balance in the backs of the taxpayers and the taxpayers of Milford, which it turns my stomach. It's 20, and you're right, Mike, it could be a lot worse, and I'm not gonna get on my soapbox, but at the same time, we'll deal with it as we always do, and that's one of the great parts about Milford is we do plan for the worst case scenario, but I would be remiss if I didn't publicly state how just sickened I am about the fact that this is the plan from the state, that we're going to, at this late in the game, we're gonna force additional tax burden and additional burden on the municipalities. It turns my stomach. Thank you, Kathy.
Okay, and lastly, is the latest tires from our previous meeting. No vote is required. It's for your information only. And that's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy.
All right, we're on to our next item, which is future agenda items. So the first one I'm gonna ask for a future agenda item at some point is the extraordinary fund. I did see, and I'll address this sort of upfront, I've already spoken with Melissa, trying to start to plan some future meetings as well. I do know that there are some requests from the policy subcommittee for reviews of future policies. We'll make sure that we get those on as we go forward, as I'm planning out meetings as we head into December and into January. So I have those requests already. Are there any additional items?
Mr. Chair, I just wanna make sure that Shining Star is on for December 4th.
That is on December 4th, yes.
Okay.
That one,
That's
we did
done.
make sure was on. That one is already on for next meeting.
Thank you very much.
Some of the other ones that are coming on for some of the other pieces, trying to make sure that we give each agenda item its appropriate time for being able to give considered
Thank you.
without asking guests to sit here until 11 or 12 o'clock at night. So, but the budget subcommittee, I'm aware of the requests that you guys have for some of the policies, and I do have those, we'll get those scheduled in future meetings. So I have those. Any other items that the committee would like to request? Okay. We'll move into any old business. Seeing no old business. The next is a motion to adjourn. We do have an executive session, which we will be moving into, the purpose of which is for the purpose of negotiation and contract. To deliberate in public would weaken our position, so we will be moving into executive session, which will require a roll call, and we will not be returning, so we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make a
Motion from Mike, second from Joey. All in favor? Thank you, and have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.